On this week's episode, we talk about, are we dating the same guy Facebook groups? We also talk about and we answer your live questions. Hey, it's Matchmaker Maria. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker podcast. This is a live hotline episode. Do you remember those? They're back. Thank God. I really miss talking live to people. And I also brought one of my favorite guests to inaugurate this in the studio, Dr. Celeste Holbrook.
Yay. Hi. Welcome, everybody. And thank you for having me, Maria.
Absolutely. And I'm going to call her Celeste from now on, but she really is a PhD doctor. She has her PhD in
public health with a postgraduate emphasis in sex and sexual behavior. So I am a sex educator.
Yes, absolutely. She is. And so we have a ton of questions for her. But first, I feel like I need to give an update on what's been going on in my life.
I mean, you've been traveling a lot. You've been all over the place.
Yes.
And so tell me what has been going on. You've had a retreat. Tell me about the retreat with in Tulum.
Yeah. So I had a retreat in Tulum that happened last week, and that was for our Agape intensive in real life. So I don't know if you know this, but every month I have a thing called Agape intensive. It is happens once a month. So you could join if you want to do a virtual or if you want to do it in person. And it's 3 days, 9 hours. And I essentially fix people's pickers. Like if you've ever heard you're too picky, you're most likely not too picky. You just have a problem understanding chemistry, compatibility, and how to articulate who you're looking for. And I fix that. That's what I help with.
I love it.
And we have an in-person retreat because there are some people who just don't want to do things over Zoom. They want to do in person. So that was what Tulum was. And it was incredible. It was 25 women. The cool thing about doing in-person stuff in a beautiful country like Mexico is that you could do really fun excursions. So we went to a cenote. The other person that was traveling with me, which happens to be my sister, she celebrated her 8 years at Agape Match with me. When she jumped off a cliff into the cenote, she didn't think that she should go down like a pencil. So she went down like this. So she has this massive bruised butt.
Oh no!
So that was a fun. That's the gift that keeps on giving, really. Because then she had to travel from Cancun to Athens. So she went with that butt.
Yeah.
And just essentially tranquilizers. Because we did have a doctor with us.
Oh, good.
On this trip. She went from Cancun to Chicago, Frankfurt, Athens, and then she drove 4 hours back to the city that she lives in. So that was fun. But the women that attended Tulum Intensive, I mean, every single woman that comes to our retreats they're just spectacular. And what I love the most is the WhatsApp chat. They have their own community. They talk every day. There's a few women going on dates this weekend. And they're all just kind of hyping each other up.
Oh, that's the best.
It's like being in a sorority, in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So that happened last week. And then the week before that, because I like to host things back to back and give myself
no downtime.
Sure. I was in Cancun hosting a conference for 94 matchmakers.
Gosh.
So matchmakers that flew in from 6 different countries. Mm-hmm. And, a matchmakers conference, it's not so much like kumbaya, talking about how do we match people? Although there were 2 or 3 sessions where it did talk about intuitive matching and energy and all that stuff. But the majority of the presentations were very much business operations because at the end of the day, this is a business.
Yes.
What's interesting is this was my 13th one. It's our 13th annual, right? Or 12th annual, I forget. 12th annual Matchmakers Conference.
Okay.
And this was the first time that we had inclement weather in all these years. So we had a proper tropical storm come through.
Okay.
No one could spend time outside.
Oh no, in Cancun.
It was humid as hell. I remember I would leave a room and my glasses would fog up. And it serves me right because I had purchase clothing since my whole staff was going to be there. It was let's do a company photo shoot. And it's no, it's not happening. That got canceled.
Yeah.
No. And also, but what was interesting is that I feel people bonded more.
Oh, good. Because they had to we were
huddling up in bars playing poker.
Yeah.
No one was at the beach last year or the years before. So it was 90 people just being just telling each other secrets and that was really nice.
Yeah.
And then I think the worst part is that everyone left on the 6th on a Monday.
Yeah.
And that is when the sun came out. And I actually went to the beach that day. And I was just I'm so I felt horrible.
Yeah.
Just absolutely horrible. I was just completely gutted. But, As
it sounds like they had a good time, good bonding.
Flexico,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta be Flexico.
I really
That's
like
what I
that.
learned.
I like that.
You know? So yeah, so that's what I've been doing the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I saw you a month ago. What have you done in the last month?
Not that much fun stuff. I haven't traveled to Mexico. But just kind of getting caught up on work stuff. October is typically a bigger month because that backs off a little bit in the November and December season. And then my work actually picks up quite a bit. My biggest season is in January and February. People coming out of the holidays.
I didn't even know sex therapy had a cyclical season.
I didn't either until 13 years ago when I started working. But yeah, I think coming in out of the holidays, I think people get really,
they put in their resolutions.
Yeah. Like I want to work on
more.
my sex life. Exactly.
I will
and like
tell
coming
you.
into Valentine's Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you're married?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
Married to 16 years.
Wow. And you have kids.
Yes.
So you know how exhausting it is.
Yes.
To try to have sex when you've got people around.
Yes.
And managing that. Do you put in your New Year's resolution how many times you want to have sex that year?
Me personally, no.
Oh, I do that.
Oh, you do? Tell me more.
So like my husband and I, we schedule sex.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. I know I'm a director. And it's just my personality. I'm an Enneagram 8.
Yes.
All right. You should not expect less than that. Anyway, and well, no, it just helps because when you have like 2 kids under, like, I mean, my son just turned 6, but like when you have 2 young kids and you're just perpetually exhausted, I think when you don't have sex, you harbor all this like guilt and shame, like, oh my God, my marriage is over. Because you think about it, like, oh, do you want to do it today? I'm really tired.
Right. And
it's like, okay. And then you do that like 10 days straight and then 2 months go by and you're like, wow, like we're shitty. And it's like, no, we're not shitty. We're just tired.
Just tired. Yeah.
And then I'll never forget it. I feel like it was Dr. Terry Orbuck, who's like one of my mentors. And she was just like, must have been in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like in 2019. And she's like, just schedule sex. What's wrong with you? That way that changed my life.
Yeah.
So like there's like a designated day, which is like sex day, which means that like, you know, maybe I won't eat spicy food that day.
Right. Right. Like put a little intention into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the day that I go for, you know, my next laser appointment.
Right.
Maybe that's also the day that like, you know, I do an everything shower.
Yeah.
And that's the day that like George will also do his little everything shower. Right. So like there's like things that, you know, we're preparing for sex.
Yeah.
And I'll get a candle.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
And I'll have my sexy music playlist playing on Apple Music.
I love that.
Right.
Yes.
And then look, there are some times where like that day will come and you're like, babe, I'm not feeling too good. I don't think we're gonna do it.
You got to pivot.
But it's like, okay, then maybe it's another day, or maybe it's just not that week. Like it's not the end of the world. You have the next day to do it. And that's also not to say that like we're not gonna have sex again. We might have sex like 2 days after that. But like at least we know that once a week it's happening.
We have made it a priority. And that's something that I talk about with clients a lot, is that we have this idea that sex should be easy. And that's just a bullshit idea. Like we are sold this, you know, kind of thing that sex should be easy if you are in love enough or if you're hot enough or whatever. But in reality, sex is work. It takes some effort and intention as we age and as we go through things in our life. It takes work.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay. Like we have to be okay with the fact that it takes work to prioritize, and there's nothing wrong with your relationship if sex takes work. It's supposed to.
In my New Year's resolution, it says that this is going to sound like a low number, but it's not in my eyes, but it's like we have sex at least 25 times that year.
Yeah.
And like, I obviously want to like go more than that, because especially since they said like, oh, once a week, but you know, like you just said,
they though,
like me and my husband, but
I see.
Oh no, they like the outside world, the person who's listening to this right now. But also I just feel like, you know what?
If it works for you.
If it works. I mean, before we started recording, we were talking about like kinks.
Yeah.
And how like, to me at this point in my marriage, certain kinks, I'm like, maybe once a year we'll do that.
Yeah.
Like I just don't have.
I'm
exhausted.
Yeah, right. All of this extra is not on the agenda for tonight. Yeah, I totally agree. And as far as like frequency, though, to come back to this, as far as frequency, this is the most asked question I get: how much sex should we be having? And I always say as much sex as you two agree is great for the partnership. So I have couples who say they have what I call ABC sex, which is anniversary, birthday, Christmas, or anniversary, birthday, holidays. And
Hanukkah.
Yeah,
Hanukkah starts with a C too.
Oh, there you go. Exactly.
Hanukkah.
Perfect. I never thought about that. That's perfect. And
if they're Indian, it's ABD.
We're gonna go all in.
Diwali.
Diwali.
Happy Diwali, by the way. That was this week.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. The Festival of Sex Lights. So it just doesn't matter. Like it only matters to the couple, right? Like you can find averages and things like that, but if that doesn't work for you, don't compare yourself. Comparison's the thief of joy, especially in sex.
It's so interesting how like life circumstances will also affect your sex life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when my mother got really sick, like really bad. Like that now I feel like I manage it, but the first time my mom came home with like the seriousness, and it was such a steep learning curve for me to like learn for me and my father of like how to manage our new reality, that when my husband and I became intimate, you know, a few days later, like I'll never forget, like just as about we're about to have penetration, which is such a technical term for what I'm talking about right now, but that's what it is. I remember I just started crying.
Yeah.
I was just like I was like grieving, even though there's nothing to grieve yet. It was just felt like it's just overwhelming.
To grieve.
Yeah. And it was just, yeah, you know what? I was probably grieving my mom's like dynamic and independence.
Yeah.
And I like, that was tough.
Yes.
You know, and then the worst part is like, I feel very lucky that I have a husband who's understanding, but I have heard about how other people, they're just not understanding of like these circumstances. Like it's like they think they take it personally. It's an attack on them. And it's like, no, sex cannot be personal. At least that's my perception of it.
Yeah. I always say my desire for sex is not the same as my desire for you as a person.
Right.
Like they're totally different things. And the more that we can take ownership of our own sex life, I'm in charge of my own pleasure and my own sex life, and you're not responsible for like, you know, creating that for me. Then we show up as two full people in this play space where we can have fun together instead of it being like a responsibility or a pressure.
I love that. I love that. Well, look, this is a live hotline episode. So I want to start taking questions. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hi, Maria. Hi, Celeste. I have a sex question, obviously. I am a product of early 2000s Texas sex education. So, Celeste, I see you shaking your head. I'm in my late 30s now. I have discovered my voice. So, I am pretty good about saying, I want this, but I'm not good about saying anything else or starting sex other than, hey, we're already in bed. So, what are some good little ways to ease me into something like foreplay? My boyfriend does mention fishnets occasionally, so I think he'd be interested in that. But I've never done anything like that, and I don't even know where to start. Please give me all the resources.
Okay.
Let's give some context first, because I, as someone from New Jersey with like full comprehensive sex ed, what does Texas sex education mean?
Oh, nothing.
Right. Christina's right. Yeah.
No pleasure.
Yeah. No, certainly not comprehensive, certainly not pleasure focused, and often very just reproductive or scare tactic focused. And many folks that grew up in 2000 in Texas didn't get any sex education at all because you can opt out of it. You don't have to have it in school. So if your parents aren't teaching it and your parents opt you out of it, you don't get any. So that's what that means.
And then if you get it, are you taught like, here's how to protect yourself from STDs, STIs, pregnancy? Does that conversation come up?
Back then, probably not. Right now, we have minimum. I'm not sure, Christina, what your experience was, but very minimum protection. But still, even in public school systems, abstinence only is a very large part of the curriculum.
Abstinence only, very fear-based, especially when I went through it. And the school that I went through high school didn't have it at all. So like we had some in middle school and it was, here's a condom, but just don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Did they put the condom on the banana?
No, I was actually waiting for that because I had seen some TV shows.
Yeah.
Did you learn about HIV or AIDS?
I didn't in
Yeah.
what did you, Christina?
So we did a little bit in middle school, but it was all don't have sex because you could get these diseases. And these are how bad these diseases are. And big on stigma and how catching this disease or any type of a disease basically brands you with a big letter, that letter A.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like a lot
But
of fear-based
yeah.
tactics. Yeah. A lot of
Okay.
danger. Sex is dangerous, essentially. Okay. So if I'm hearing your question correctly, Christina, it is once we get to sex, I'm feeling like I can advocate for my own voice and my own needs, but
Yes.
I'm having a hard time initiating sex and or initiating play.
Initiating play. I've gotten better at initiating sex. It helps to be a director and just say, hey, let's have sex. But that was hard to get to as well. So the whole playful aspect, what do you do other than like, how do you start it before you get into bed and just be like, hello, let me touch you or ask for it? So I would love to have more playfulness.
Okay, I love that. So I think that having some conversations outside of a sexual context might be really helpful for you and your boyfriend. Even just expressing what you've expressed to us, like, hey, boyfriend, I'm interested in, initiating some more play, but I feel a little vulnerable doing it. And then coming up together with maybe some words that you use or some way that you initiate play or even creating some time to practice those things. I am practical to like a fault. And so even when I'm teaching people how to speak dirty, I don't like that term, but everybody knows what it means. Like speak dirty in the bedroom. I want you to practice speaking those things out loud to a mirror and have like your 3 or 4 go-to phrases that that you can say with confidence. And so if you want to put on the fishnets, practice asking your partner in the mirror, like, what would you think if I put on the fishnets, or putting on the fishnets and walking out, So it's
Okay.
just, it feels like you're jumping off of out of a plane, but really think about just stepping off of a curb. What is one thing that you could do that would be an extension of something that you already feel and have grown comfortable doing? You're already well on your way. Just take a little bit of extra time to figure out what that next step is.
Awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Where does I know in other episodes, and you should totally listen to Dr. Celeste Holbrook's past episodes on Ask a Matchmaker. There are 2. You talked about the sandbox.
Oh yeah.
So explain what the sandbox is, and then how would that as a solution, does that benefit Christina?
For sure. Christina, this is something that you can download off of my website. It's called the Erotic Sandbox. And basically what I want you to do is to draw a square on a piece of paper and then write every sexual thing that you feel very comfortable doing in the middle of that square. And then you're going to write every sexual thing that you feel like, I don't want to do, don't even ask me to do. You're going to write them on the outside of the square. And this is going to make up your erotic sandbox. And so then the last piece is to write all of the things that you're kind of curious about, or you've tried once or twice and want to try again, or you're not really sure about. And so you don't have a decision made on it yet. I want you to write those on the edges of your sandbox. So we call it the erotic sandbox because play is really pleasurable when we have firm boundaries. Just like if you're playing in an actual sandbox, if you have all of the sand within a boundary, it doesn't go everywhere in the grass and you can have a really good time playing. Same with sex. When you have firm boundaries and you know that with your partner, then you can really explore and have a lot of fun because you know what you both are wanting to do on that growth edge. So that's a really good activity that you and your partner can do, and start to like look at what's on each of your edges and think about picking one out and starting them, exploring it.
Excellent. I love homework.
Yeah. Yes.
I love that. I love that. Such a good one. Let's go to our next question.
Okay,
I
let's
actually
do it.
have a writing question first before we go to our next audio. I've been dating a wonderful guy for a few months now. We haven't been able to have sex yet or even finish a blowjob because he cannot stay hard. After discussing it further, it seems like an issue of erectile dysfunction and performance anxiety, and he doesn't have a lot of experience. How can I be supportive and explore this together? On the bright side, he is open, and I sense he is freaky underneath the surface if we get over this hump! Exclamation point. This is from Abby.
Yeah. So thank you, Abby, for writing in your question. That's a really great question and something that's really a tough thing to manage for a lot of people. Erectile
And it's
dysfunction.
insanely common.
It's incredibly common, right? So just as a definition, erectile dysfunction can mean you maybe have a hard time getting an erection ever or sometimes, or you can't keep an erection for as long as you want to keep it. So both of those things are lumped into erectile dysfunction. And there are basically two different ways erectile dysfunction happens. An erection happens because of blood flow. So there's blood that's flowing from the body into the shaft of the penis. And so if there's a blood flow issue, erectile dysfunction can happen. So like things like blood pressure medications or blood thinners even sometimes can create some erectile dysfunction.
Oh.
And then the other side of that is performance anxiety. So think about our bodies as kind of like how they were created at the very, how they made, evolved in the very beginning, is our bodies are made to keep us safe. And so when our bodies feel a little anxious or maybe have a perceived sense of like, a little anxiety, they shut off your body shuts off systems that won't keep you safe. So like you would not get an erection if you were running from a lion, right? Because your body is trying to shunt the blood to your other parts to keep you safe. So the same arousal is one of those things that is the first to go when we're feeling a little unsure or anxious or stressed about things, because our body's trying to focus on keeping us alive and safe and well. And that means blood flow is not going to your penis. It also can mean blood flow is not going to your vulva. And so you might not have that vaginal lubrication, even though in your head you feel aroused. Your body's going, it feels a little unsafe right now. And I want to be clear, not unsafe from a partner, just like the idea of sex feels a little bit stressful, right? And so to deal with it, you can, for this particular question, it sounds like the erection is happening but not staying long enough. One easy solution to that is a C-ring, also called a cock ring. And so that's something that you can get at your local sex toy store or online. And it's just lots of times it's a silicone or a TPR kind of stretchy ring that you're going to put on the base of the penis after the erection happens. So it's essentially keeping the blood flow into in the shaft and the tip of the penis instead of allowing it to go back into the body. And so in that case, that's a fairly simple fix. Using
plus it looks really sexy.
Yeah. It keeps the blood flow into the penis. So it's a pretty simple fix. It still might not stay as much as or as long as you want, but the other piece of that is to take some of the pressure off.
Right.
Like, you know what? If you get an erection, great. If you don't get an erection, that's okay too. We can still experience a lot of pleasure. You can actually have an orgasm without an erection.
Oh.
That's a possibility.
How?
Well, it takes some practice, but you can stimulate an orgasm. You can't have penetration, right? Because penetration is not very possible without a stiff penis, but you can have ejaculation. So that would be something that you could learn online how to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
How about like emotionally like supporting? Because I feel like sometimes, I mean, I get a lot of these ED questions every Wednesday too, when I do Ask a Matchmaker Wednesdays. And the questions are always like, how can I nudge him to go see someone? Or who is the right person to see? And it's funny because I'm like, does he need to see someone? Or, I don't know. I think like, I'm like, I wonder if there's other solutions. Like, I just kind of think about this a lot too.
Yeah.
Because I have been in those situations personally where it's like, there was performance anxiety. It wasn't like a physical, blockage. And, I feel like what helped was getting their confidence up.
Yes.
And it did take like a bit of drunken sex where it's like, you're not really thinking like, he's not thinking about like, right. I'm about to have sex or this is happening to me. Like, some of the nerves have fallen a little bit. And then once we were able to do it, then their confidence grew where then ED suddenly disappeared.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a great explanation of helping somebody move through some of that discomfort is really taking it off the table as like an issue at all. Like the more you kind of focus on it happening or not happening, the more it's not going to happen.
Right.
So like, let's just focus on pleasure. Let's focus on touch. If an erection happens, great. If not, that's also okay. It has to be okay for the erection not to be there in order for the erection to eventually show up.
I love that. I love how you just said that. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's
We also I'll just show real quick. I also brought this from all in my suitcase from Texas. It's a penis pump. So I'm going to shout out to Bathmate. This is not like endorsed. Bathmate makes the best penis pumps. So that's also for erectile dysfunction if you can't get an erection at all.
Is there like do you have to how do you use that?
Oh yeah. So you use it in the shower or the bathtub. And so you essentially put your, fill the thing up with water and then put your penis inside the pump. And then you actually push this. And as you push it up against your body, you have to get a seal. The water in the penis pump exits, and it's a physics system, right? So as water is exiting, blood is being pulled from the body into the penis. So as much water is exiting, so you go slow on this, blood is being pulled from the body into the penis. It's a vacuum system. And it actually designed by a guy in the UK who was in an accident and was paralyzed from the waist down and could not achieve an erection on his own. So he was a hydraulic engineer and he developed bath-made penis pumps. Wow. And so they help a lot of people. And they are the best on the market. There's air pumps out there, but water pumps work better.
What was this called?
Bathmate. This is a Hydromax penis pump. They come in all different sizes. This is the smallest.
That's the smallest?
I believe this is a 5. Yeah, this is the 5-inch. That's the smallest. They come to 11 inches. Because you can also use the pumps to make your penis bigger, but that's like a workout type of thing. You're using that like 3 times a week for 15 minutes.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Let's go to our next question. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hi, Maria and Dr. Celeste. My question is sort of 2 parts. My partner and I have started having sex when we're both in our late 30s. So we have an idea of what we like. But before having sex, we talked about our turn-ons and the positions that we like. And I felt like he liked typical, like quote unquote, vanilla positions, which is fine. But I didn't mention that I can't always get off vaginally. And I'm having a hard time talking to him about that without it seeming like I'm bizarre, even though I'm not. And then I also wanted to know if there's certain positions that can help me orgasm vaginally. And I'm a short, chubby lady. So I don't know if maybe certain positions are better for that.
Can you orgasm with clitoral stimulation?
Yes.
Yeah.
And another follow-up question, let's just visualize for a second. All right. You're having sex with him missionary style, vanilla, as you called it. As he's penetrating you, have you ever rubbed your clitoris while he's doing that? Where are your hands here?
Yes. No, I have. And I think it doesn't last as long for me to be able to get off.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, all right, let's switch it up kind of thing.
I mean, it's hot. Like I can see why someone would be like, yeah, okay. Like
got it.
Does he eat you?
It's your podcast. You can ask whatever you want.
I'm not trying to get canceled.
We haven't done that yet. We're still kind of getting to know each other.
Oh, so you haven't done oral sex yet?
No oral sex.
But you guys
that is one way that I do orgasm.
Oh. Okay. Perfect. Well, now we've come up with a sex plan.
Yes.
Celeste.
Yes.
Tell our girl what to do.
It is, as you probably know, 70% of women have most and their first orgasms through clitoral stimulation. Remembering that the clitoris is far larger than just the external part that you see. There's also an internal part. It has like a shaft and legs that go down the side of your labia. So I will speak the glory of grinding until like the cows come home. We need to make sure that we are getting a lot of pressure, grinding on the entirety of the clitoris, not like just banging the clitoris like we're ringing a doorbell. So if you can have this conversation with him, like we always fear that we're going to hurt our partner's feelings, I think, if we say, I don't like that. So always lead with, you know what I really like? I really love it when you lay on me this way, or I really love it when you touch me this way, or I really love touching myself when you are inside of me. So leading with, I really love it when it, like, really pricks their ears up. So if you're afraid of saying like, I'm not coming with in this position, start with, I really love it when. And then try to add clitoral stimulation however you can during those penetrative sexual experiences, or get really close with clitoral stimulation before penetration happens so that you are both kind of closer to that orgasm situation. And like, third thing, get a toy.
We have more toys.
You can get a toy like this. This is called a We Vibe, and it basically is a wearable vibrator. So you are going to place it inside the vaginal canal, and this part has an oscillating motor, and this part has an oscillating motor. So this part goes on your clitoris, and this is inside the vaginal canal. So you're actually getting vibration on both sides. And so you can wear this while you're having penetrative sex. So you're getting, your hands don't have to do anything. You're getting vibration on your clitoris and inside the vaginal canal, which can
would
kind
the
of
penis fit under that?
Yep. The penis slides up through here like this.
Do you suggest using lube, or
you definitely need,
you
definitely need to use lube.
Do you have a favorite lube?
I love Uber Lube. It
needs to be water-based or silicone-based. I remember you telling me something once.
Yeah, so with your silicone toys, you want to make sure that you're not using silicone lubricant, or if you are like cleaning them off really immediately, because silicone on silicone can warp each other. But Uber Lube's a great one. It's a gel. It's a hybrid silicone and water-based, so it's a little more toy friendly. But yes, you definitely want to use a lubricant. Was that helpful? Hopefully that helped answer your question.
No, that was great. And even when you were saying the different, like the grinding motion, like I was on top of him and I felt like I moved my body up more, and it felt different. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe that's what you mean by grinding.
He could put his thumb on your clit when you're on top of him.
Yes. So if you're like sitting on top, like cowgirl position, which would be you sitting on top of his penis and you're facing him, but sitting up, you can touch your own clitoris pretty easily. Or he can touch you. Or like if you are on top of him, you can grind a little bit more on his pubic bone, or you can put a vibrator in between the two of you. Like, there's lots of different ways. Just reach for that clitoral stimulation as much as you can.
Okay.
That is so
great.
helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Great question. Thank you for asking it.
Do you have another question? Awesome. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hi, Maria. Hi, Dr. Holbrook. I would love to know how we can have better conversations with our partners about having herpes and potential transmission risks.
Oh, what a great question.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Do you have a thing that you talk about in your dating?
I do.
I felt like you had some good lines in there.
And I have a previous podcast episode about this that I did a few months ago that I'll certainly link in the show notes in case people want to have like a more in-depth discussion about this. But I think off the bat, we need to get rid of the stigma when it comes to herpes. Yes. That is very much an American thing, by the way, because in Europe, everyone just assumes you have herpes.
Yeah.
So they're just like, why are you talking to me about cold sores? Like, okay. Like it's not nearly like, it's just not a big deal. It's not. Yeah. And I think in America, and I have a reason, I think I said this in my previous episode. I think the reason why it's so stigmatized is because of the pharmaceutical industry. Because in Europe,
really good.
In Europe, there are no pharma ads.
Yep.
None. There is nothing. There is nothing on TV. You cannot sell pharmaceutical drugs.
Right.
And here, like, you have like, is it Valtrex?
Yeah.
Like a Valtrex commercial, people are playing volleyball and they're like, he doesn't have to know. It's very 90s, but like, do you know what I'm saying? Like why does he not need to know? Why can't we just have this conversation? So anytime I tell people about like how they should talk about herpes, it's a really frank discussion of, well, listen, 1 in 4 people have an STI, and a predominant majority of them is herpes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have herpes without realizing they have herpes. If you've had a cold sore in your mouth, you might have herpes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not as like this extreme thing that I think society is telling us it is, right? And it's very much an American society thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to go back to her question, it's how should we have these conversations? Like, I know it's easy for me to say this because there's not a person facing me.
Right.
But I guess in my mind, when I think about this, I think about like, well, what's the worst they're going to do? Leave? They might already have herpes.
Right.
Or they're going to get herpes from the next person they date statistically. So like,
Yeah.
Either this person likes me enough where we can just have an adult discussion about the consequences of sex, or he's just not the right person for me. Like, because if herpes is your problem, that's the least of most problems.
Yes. Yes.
You talk now. I've talked a lot.
Because I knew you had a really good answer for this, and from my perspective as a clinician, we always want to talk about reducing stigma, and I think it would be helpful for you to kind of do some inner work of like, is there shame for yourself around a herpes diagnosis? So maybe work it out with your therapist a little bit. Like maybe I'm feeling some sort of way about it, which causes me to maybe withhold or not be as vulnerable as I want to be on dates or in sex. So I think there's a little bit of personal work possibly that you might want to explore to where you feel just really comfortable about it. And I'm not super sure if your question was about yourself or about asking other people, but I totally agree with Maria's assessment that we make a way bigger deal about it than it is. I always tell people every single STI is manageable or curable. Every single one. So,
and that's actually like what you just said. That's a way you could start this conversation. And I think the conversation, a lot of people ask me like, well, when do I talk about it? I mean, I don't think you need to talk about this on the first date because that's not the purpose of a first date.
Right.
The purpose of a first date is purely to go to a second date. But if it comes up on like your third date, I think you could just say, I have herpes, and like all STIs, it's either curable or manageable. I'm going to use that from now on.
Right.
And I manage it. And then that's when you give them information. Here is how I manage it. And if you have more questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Perfect.
And then you practice this, like practice in the mirror several times until you feel confident about what you're saying. Because what I just said, and if you need to like audio record what I just said, it's such a reasonable conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it's insanely reasonable.
Yes.
Like I haven't said anything about like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, like I think about how like there are little kids that have cold sores, right? Because, whatever happened, right? And because it's a easily transmittable infection.
Right.
And it's like, what do you do? Not love your child? It's like, that's kind of to think of it. It's just, it's a cold sore. It's like cold sores happen.
Yeah.
It's part of life.
Yeah. Practice in the mirror, having that conversation in the mirror so you can have it easily on that third date.
Do you want to practice right now?
Oh my God. No. No, this is really helpful though. My problem is with timing. It's just the timing always feels awkward, and I don't.
Well, when does it happen? Tell me about the last guy you dated.
Before sex, like when I'm ready to go and I know I want to have sex with this person.
Wait, are you naked?
No, not naked. Not naked.
Well, where are you? So the last guy you dated, was it a guy or a girl? I don't want to like assume.
Yes, it was a guy. We were in a car. I just told him ahead of time, like, hey, sexual health is really important to me. I would love to have a conversation with you the next time we see each other. And then we met up and he's like, hey, I remember you wanted to talk about something. Do you want to go someplace? And I was like, hey, we can just go in the car. I don't need to make a big deal of it, but I'm like, hey, I'm ready to, obviously there's a connection here and I'm ready to get intimate with you. And I want you to know there's something I have to talk to you about in regards to sexual health. And I disclosed, and he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, seems like you manage it just fine. And I don't really have any questions. Like, I still want to have sex with you. So it was a really, really positive disclosure, the last one. But every time it just seemed, I'm just nervous. And
I need you to think about that last guy every time, because that's a reasonable reaction. Yeah. And either you're going to date people that are respectful and reasonable, or you're not. And what a fantastic way to test someone, by the way.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Even if you don't have herpes, just pretend you do. Is this person respectful and reasonable?
Did they gotta pound that in my head?
I mean,
thank you both.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
doing a great job. You're just, the more you practice it, the more comfortable you'll be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Such a gold episode so far. Okay, these are the last 2 questions. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hi, Maria. Hi, Celeste. I am already blushing. So this conversation has 2 parts. One is a more technical question, and the other is a communication question because I feel like I may have hurt my partner's feelings. So background to this, I just switched from the birth control pill to an IUD, and for some reason my libido is like off the charts. And my boyfriend has obviously noticed this. And he made a comment after we had sex last because I clearly wanted to keep having sex, and he made a comment about maybe he should get a strap on. And in the moment, I thought he was joking, like immediately thought he was joking. And I did laugh, and then I could tell that maybe I misjudged that comment. But I was honestly flustered, so I kind of just changed the topic real quick. So it's also not necessarily something I'd be interested in, but also like if my partner wants to try something, I'm obviously up for trying it as long as I'm not super, super against it. So now I don't know what to do because I do think I may have kind of hurt his feelings about it, and I don't really know how to bring it up. I also just technically don't understand how a man using a strap-on works, actually. I've never thought that through before.
Got it. So first of all, thank you for asking this question. Second of all, give yourself some compassion for your response in that moment. It's okay to have those responses in those moments when you don't know what to do. I laugh nervously when something happens that I don't know how to respond to. It's
Like
totally
queefing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who does not giggle after queefing?
Correct.
Like,
correct.
Yes.
So let's start off with communication first. The erotic sandbox activity that we talked about earlier is going to be the perfect way for you guys to kind of talk about what is on your edges. Like, a strap-on is, on the edge of what he wants to try. And it's helpful for you to kind of ask yourself, what is on my edge? And do I even want to try that? And because it's okay if you don't. It's totally okay. So give yourself compassion, do the erotic sandbox activity so you can kind of flesh out, pun intended, what you do and don't want to try, right? And then the second...
And also, like, in that erotic flesh box...
The erotic flesh box.
Wow, excuse me. In that erotic sandbox, there is like, it's interesting that he is thinking about wearing a strap-on because maybe he wants to still like dominate, I guess, with his body, and he, there's no blood flow for some people after they've had sex once, aging. Yeah. And he wants to do it like that. Or maybe that erotic sandbox includes like, toys, like
right.
other toys where he can just.
Right. It's hard to know what he was thinking. In my head, when you said that first, that he said maybe he should get a strap on, I made the assumption that he wanted to get one for you to wear.
Oh no.
So,
that's what you heard?
That's what I heard. So I wasn't sure.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was for him directly.
Okay. So
and that's why I was confused because I wasn't.
Wait, maybe that's why he's offended.
So
get him on the phone. Can he come in right now?
We need more information. So 2 different scenarios. One where you have a strap-on for those of you listening is like a dildo or a penis or a phallic shaped toy that typically doesn't vibrate, but you can have ones that do vibrate, attached to a harness that goes around your kind of waist and your legs sometimes, that is like a penis, right? And so that you can, if you don't own a penis, you can use it like a penis owner. A penis owner then might want a strap on. There are different kinds. So there are what we call sleeves, where you actually put it over your own penis. So that might be what he was talking about, like to make his penis girthier or longer, or just to add a penis somewhere. So like there are strap-ons, for example, that you can strap around your leg.
You didn't
so
bring one of these with you?
I didn't bring a strap-on in. Sorry, guys.
Nope.
There are strap-ons that you can put around your leg. You can put around any body part. So he can be like, you can be riding his leg and he sees you do that. Right. So there are a lot of options or reasons why somebody might want to strap on that don't include putting them right where their own penis is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. So now how does
I
she
definitely
talk
think
to
I
him
want
about
to
it?
try to talk to him about it.
Yeah. Yeah, just maybe a little bit more clarity. Listen, clarity reduces anxiety almost 100% of the time. So maybe starting the conversation with, hey, something you said the other night caught me off guard. I'd like to open up that conversation again if you're comfortable with it. And then maybe do the erotic sandbox activity and ask him what would feel really fun for you? Something like that.
Also, let's kick it off by giving him a round of applause to this man. Like, you know, like this man is like acknowledging that your libido has shifted. And he's like, how can I make this person feel like be in her
that's definitely
element?
why I felt doubly bad afterwards, because I was like, he's literally trying to solve a problem that I'm having. And
That's sweet.
That's how I reacted,
really
just off
sweet.
the cuff. But thank you. I really appreciate the advice, and I will let you know how it goes.
Yes,
Thank you.
do let us know.
Please.
We love getting the results back. So yeah, you've got this. You've got this.
Thank
And it sounds
you.
like you've got a winner. So
With a strap on.
with a strap on, yeah, great.
Strap on leg.
That's a strap on leg, yeah.
Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hey there. So I am asking a question somewhat on behalf of a friend that's messaged you, Maria. I know that you're a very busy lady, but it actually has something to do like with sex as well. So I think this is great. The TLDR version of this is that my best friend got her best friend's fiance caught in the "Are we dating the same guy" group. And so after that kind of, I'd say, came to fruition and, you know, all the receipts were read and found out that he was actually talking to a bunch of women lately and all of that. They've been together for 5 years, engaged in July. It came to light, not only obviously the cheating allegations and all of that,
That he has a
but
baby.
he has a feederism fetish.
A what?
Oh.
A feederism fetish? Oh, wow.
A
it is.
feederism fetish. And so what we've kind of divulged is that he gets turned on when women eat, and he himself is quite good looking, works out, all of that, but he really enjoys feeding other women. And so that's where kind of the question comes from, is like, when somebody has what I would personally call like a concerning fetish, is this something that the fiance can work toward, like not participate herself, but like
Wait, they're
we're
still
feeling as if
engaged?
wait, that's where I'm lost.
Oh yeah, and like to the point that like she's even lied to my friend, who I'm, like I said, kind of speaking on behalf of, because she unfortunately couldn't join tonight.
Okay,
But
hold on. I just want to make sure we're really clear, because I need to make some definitions for the audience listening who has no idea what you're talking about. So first off, your friend caught their friend's fiance on a Facebook group. So
Correct.
far, okay. That Facebook group is called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" Do you know what that is?
I'm imagining I do.
Okay, so there's like Facebook groups all across the country in every city called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" DC. Are we dating the same guy? Chicago.
Yeah.
Are we dating the same guy? New York. Which, by the way, ladies who are in these groups, please promote this episode to everyone in that Facebook group and tell them to follow me, Matchmaker Marie, on Instagram, and Dr. Celeste Holbrook on Instagram as well. Okay. But anyway, these groups, they exist for women to post like, this is a guy I'm talking to. Is anyone else talking to him? I mean, sometimes it's like really serious, like, don't date this guy, he's bad, and you know, whatever. I personally, I gotta move my foot here. I don't know how much I agree with the existence of these groups. I understand their appeal, but it can get to a place of like man hating in some groups. Not all groups, but in some groups. I've seen it. I get the screenshots.
Sure.
I don't ask for them, but I get them. And it's funny. I actually saw an ex-boyfriend on it who I actually did an episode about him, about how he's dated me and like all of my friends, because, he's slutty. I don't know that's the right word. He's like, oh, that's your friend, and like he just dates all your friends, the whole circle. Anyway, so like he's been posted on the Are We Dating the Same Guy in New York City recently.
Yeah.
And it's like a bunch of it's like 30 women who are like, yep, I dated him, and like everyone has like very similar experiences because this person's toxic. So it's like, oh, we're protecting. But sometimes you're also just posting someone's brother who just swiped right on you on Hinge, and he does not know that you're about to post this photo and all of his details. Like he hasn't done anything. Okay, so now we've created some context of the environment that we're talking about. So now this particular person's friend found her friend's fiance on this. And I have 2 follow-up questions. When you say he participates in feederism, like that's his kink.
Yeah.
I'm asking for my own curiosity. Is his fiance overweight?
So this is kind of, I didn't want to take up too much of your time here, but this is where it kind of gets intertwined as well, is that apparently in the past, to answer your question, yes, she is a little overweight.
Okay.
But in the past too, she has wanted to do like health kicks or like nutrition or working out or whatever.
See, this is what the I'm going to say a joke now. When we talk about the risks of taking Ozempic, no one thinks about the guys who are into feederism.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So then she would go on these like.
Can you guys hear my producer laughing?
It would last. I know I'm a horrible person. It's okay.
You didn't say it. I said it.
But the thing is that it would only last like a couple of days, because then in return she would say to her friends like, oh, you know what? Like I'm confident in who I am, which is great. Like, I mean, we all like power to the people. We want that in women. We want that for ourselves. But it would very like eerily be on the line of, oh, well, and again, I'm not going to say his name for obvious reasons, but the person would then, talk to her to be like, you're beautiful the way you are, babe. Like, here, like, let's go get McDonald's. Like, let's go do this. Let's go get some snacks.
All right. I have a lot of things to say here. Okay.
Yeah,
First of all, I am like shocked that they're still together. And
this is where I can't. Yeah.
And I will tell you, like, and I'm gonna tell you my own opinion. Okay. As a formerly obese person, like I'm still overweight according to the BMI scale, but I look fucking good too.
Right.
Well, let me cross my legs this way. Okay. I mean, damn. All right. If you're not watching this on YouTube and you're listening to this, like get on over to YouTube and do a couple of things for me. You're going to subscribe, you're going to comment, and you're going to like it. Okay. All right. Now, as a formerly obese person, but I'm still overweight according to BMI, I will tell you that reducing your weight has a lot of benefits. All right. And as someone who lives with someone with extreme complications to diabetes, I cannot stress the importance of living not a thin lifestyle, not a formerly obese lifestyle, but a healthy lifestyle. The other thing that I would say is that obesity is a disease. I treat my obesity, I still treat it as a disease. My father, he's on his weight reduction journey as well. He's lost 77 pounds this past year. And my mom, he went to Greece this week and he's going to be there for the next 6 weeks. And my mom was telling my dad, like, hey, when you're in Greece, you don't have to diet, eat whatever you want, enjoy yourself. And I actually yelled at my mom. Like, I don't want to yell at my mom. It's mean to yell at my mom, but like, I got really angry because obesity is a disease. That is that's the clinical category of it. Okay. And we have to treat obesity like a disease, which means that like, you would never tell a heroin addict who's like gone sober, oh, you're going off to London. It's okay. You're on vacation. Take a little. Like, that's not something that you would do. So why would you say this to someone who is trying to like doing the steps to reduce their weight? So like, these are just a really quick, I just want to give some context to what I'm about to say, which is that it is really, for me, I have to think about food all day. I'm going to manage how I'm going to eat because I want to stay in this like healthy place that I am finally in. Right. And it took me 3 years. It took me 3 years to get here. When I think of feederism, and I'm not trying to kink shame anyone, what my problems with that specific kink though is that when the other person doesn't realize it's happening to them, right? This particular, you just told me that he'll say, oh, you had a good day, let's go to McDonald's. Well, is she choosing McDonald's because they've got good nuggets? Or is he just trying to use a high calorie meal to make sure that she stays a certain shape, weight, whatever? Because there are there are a lot of risks to maintaining that lifestyle. And again, I'm not trying to shame anyone who's obese, anyone who's fat, like no shame whatsoever, right? Obesity is a disease though. And this person is not necessarily being like body positive with that person. He is trying to create this place of future insecurity for the other person. Like, I guess what I assume, and this could be my own bias here, is that this person might be saying stuff like, you know, if you lose weight, I'm going to leave you. Or like, you need to stay this way because otherwise I'm not attracted to you. And that's not a healthy place to be in, period. And anyone in a relationship. We're not even talking about weight now. Like, that's emotional abuse.
Right.
And it's physical abuse. I don't know. I've said a lot.
Yeah. I think my biggest issue is that the relationship seems unhealthy from the very beginning. So the kink aside, you know, I don't know that this relationship is going to last if he is insecure enough to go outside of the relationship to feed that kink, if they have not talked about that being an appropriate part of their relationship contract. Feed that kink was an interesting use of the terms. And yeah, that's a really complicated question that I think deserves a lot more kind of time. And I hope that your friend gets kind of the help and encouragement that she deserves to be able to advocate for her own needs and even know what those needs are. It sounds like she might not exactly know what her own needs are.
Yeah, like to the point too that they've just started their like what's it called, marriage prep, I think, like when you start, because the wedding's like next week, or not next week, sorry, next year.
Oh,
like, and it's wild because I'm trying to obviously give
How old are they?
advice to 25 and 26.
They need to break up.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. It's tough. Like, she even got to the point of like, she deleted all her social media because she thinks that's the best thing to do. And we're like, oh my word, I think we're like, you're getting siloed. Like, this isn't healthy at all.
He deleted her social media?
No, like, we don't know if it was either the church, and I can't remember what religious background they are. I want to say Catholic, but I could be wrong. Not that that matters, but it could either be the church or it could be the guy to say, oh yeah, I think we should delete all social media. So sure enough, they did. And like, we're obviously worried for her for that reason, right? And like, she's even got to the point where she's like lying about him being over, because the big thing that I'm trying to stress is to say, like, you just need time by yourself. You need clear thoughts.
Wow.
You need to not
this
be
is
around
a dumpster
people.
fire.
Yeah.
Like proper. Like, this is a proper dumpster fire. I mean, I can't even wrap my mind around a man telling a woman or anyone, like, you can't have don't do social media. Especially like, I guess you have like a LinkedIn. I mean, maybe she has that one, but like, you know what I've noticed is that every time I meet a man who does not have any social media, not even an Instagram photo where it's just one photo, you don't have to ever post on it, but like one photo, almost always they're like a raging narcissist who just doesn't want their secrets out because they've got community dick.
I mean, I don't know.
No, okay, my producer's a guy, and he was just like, so.
Oh, that's fine. That's interesting.
Community dick never has Instagram. I'm telling you.
Community dick never has Instagram.
Put that on a shirt.
Yeah, that's a hard problem. That's a hard issue, and we appreciate you bringing that up for your.
They need to break
friends.
up.
Yeah, I agree that
they
need
just
to
had their frontal lobes developed, if that. Like, these are children.
Yeah.
I get it. You got married around the same age, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm a totally different person from that time. Yes.
Yeah.
And we magically somehow stayed together.
Yeah. Also different times. There was no social media when you were there. Like, I don't know. Sounds like he's a cheater, and it sounds like he does not care, and it sounds like he is physically abusive and emotionally abusive just based on the kink alone. So,
yeah.
What a trash. He's not even the trash. He's the trash bag. He's holding the trash. That's what he is.
The actual bag.
The bag.
A bag of dicks.
With all the dicks. Community dick. Bag of dicks.
Bag of dicks.
There you go. Well, is this how we're ending the episode? Oh, that's perfect. What do you have to promote so that way we can promote it?
Oh, just come on over and find the Erotic Sandbox. It's free on my website, drcelesteholbrook.com. And there's always programs starting. I have a long-term lover seminar twice a year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're getting a pleasure club going next year. So stick around. Go to the social media, follow, like, subscribe.
Yes, follow Dr. Celeste Holbrook on social media, and her Instagram tag and her website are going to be in the show notes, so you can take a look at that. And of course, if you are interested in doing an Agape intensive, we just released our new dates for, January is almost sold out, but we have February dates, April dates, and May dates. March, we are considering doing in person. And in this week's show notes, there will be a link to a survey. I want you to tell me, where should we have our next in-person retreat in the month of March? We are considering a few cities. We want to know what you think. Fill out that survey if you intend to come. Also, guess what? My Bados trip, my annual trip to that Greek island of Bados is happening again. And they're like, the single rooms have already been gobbled up. So now it's time to do the double rooms. And don't worry, I'm a matchmaker.
I will match you with your roommate.
I'm really good at this because you know how you do it. You match the planner with the planee.
Oh, there you go.
That's like the first thing. And then the second thing you do is like morning people together, night people together.
Clever.
I'm very good at matching friends.
Clever.
All right. So, if you want to come to Greece with me next summer and you're a woman, because this is a women's retreat in the summer, check out the show notes. It's called agapeescapes.com, and you can fill it out there. And of course we do have our men's retreat, I think it's gonna be co-ed. That's happening in October, but more that stuff is coming out later. What else is happening at Agape Match? Well, of course, also, if you want to join my database, you are more than welcome to come to agapematch.com. So this way I can just consider you as a match for one of my clients. Or if you want to become a client, use the link, the info link in the show notes to book an info call with my work brother. We've upgraded from work husband now. He's my work brother, Louis Felix. He is the guy on the phone all day. I don't feel bad for him at all.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, have a conversation with him. Let's see if we can work together. I'd love to be your matchmaker. And that's it. Yeah. Well, Dr. Celeste Holbrook, I am so happy you came again.
Yay.
That other episode will be like the vault episodes that got hidden. We'll hear about it in 20 years, like a Green Day album. And
this was even more fun to have.
This was way more fun. Even though she's not wearing a donut outfit, because she was wearing a donut outfit and I was wearing a Luigi outfit because Green Theory. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Well, like I say, be lovable, but more importantly, be likable. See you next week. Oh yeah, this is on YouTube. Hello. Go subscribe, go like, go comment. Come on, tell your friends, post it on your Instagram. Tell us how much you love this episode and tag both me and Celeste Holbrook, Dr. Celeste Holbrook, on those posts so we can share them with all of our followers because you're an amazing listener. Okay. Bye.